Hey y'all, Always start here. Now you guys may have noticed that everything is back to normal. There's no more spooky, scary Halloween decorations, and I have taken the liberty to decorate my desk with a bunch of gaming-related memorabilia and boxes of, some of my consoles that I own and stuff like that. But before we start, I just want to say I hope you guys had a wonderful Halloween weekend. I know this year has been a bit different because of the ongoing pandemic, but nevertheless, I hope that you guys still had fun celebrating the festivities and that you stayed safe and stayed healthy throughout it. But anyways, I wanted to do another channel vlog because it's been a while since we've done it, and I just wanted to take the moment to kind of talk about this past month and what the purpose of Spooktober was for the channel, and what I learned and what it means for the channel in the future. So from the very beginning, I wanted this channel to kind of showcase video games from all different corners, whether they were AAA or indie titles. I didn't want to be that content creator that kind of was known for, playing this certain style of game or playing just one game. I know that it hasn't been completely true because there's been a lot of videos where I play Apex Legends or Call of Duty, and looking at the reception of those videos, I know interest was kind of starting to dwindle. And so I kind of wanted to do something different, and with Halloween on the horizon, I kind of wanted to try something a little different. I kind of wanted to experiment. I kind of wanted to play some scary games because those games are definitely out of my comfort zone. So I was like, oh, that might be a good idea. Not only will people be entertained because these games are different, but because they can, be entertained by my reactions to these games, because I am just an absolute scaredy cat when it comes to scary games. So I think the initial announcement and the idea for Spooktober was pretty good, but I don't think the execution itself was done very well. I think 4 weeks of doing the same kind of thing is just tiring. I will admit that. I know that not a lot of people like horror. It's a very niche genre, whether it be for video games or film, and I think people don't want to be scared. And I can honestly understand it because I'm kind of in the same boat. And doing that for 4 weeks, I think everyone was just burnt out, and I kind of got burnt out at the same time. There was a lot of different factors that kind of led to that burnout. Since I wanted to kind of capture the spooky, scary kind of aesthetic of Spooktober, I decided to challenge myself and record during the night, which is something I rarely do because usually when I make a video, I record during the day, and then once I'm done, I go straight into the editing process and spend, the late afternoon and the evening kind of creating an assembly cut, adding little effects, making sure the video is done before my wife comes from work, because she comes home pretty late. And, once she comes home, I show her my first cut of the video, and she gives me pointers, and I finalize it and make sure it's rendered and uploaded to YouTube the day before, so that I'm not scrambling before the 4 p.m. upload time. But because of the decision to film those episodes during the night, it meant that I had to film them at night, or else I wouldn't be able to edit them during the day, and I wouldn't have them ready for that next day. And so that was kind of tricky because there would be days where I was like, oh, well, I'm not feeling it. And during those times where I didn't shoot during the night, I would basically resort to shooting something really quick during the day without face cam. But I think that kind of mentality kind of led me to be a little bit lazy. I was like, oh, this is really easy. I know this game. I don't need to react to it too much. And this would be really great for me to edit because I don't need there's not that additional factor of face cam. But honestly, I think that was a double-edged sword. I know there was a lot of videos that really didn't do too well because of that decision. If I'm correct, some of those were my worst performing videos on this channel. I tried to kind of shake things up. I tried to do a lot of games that weren't so heavy on the jump scares, and kind of played a lot of games that kind of fit within that spooky, scary tone. But at the same time, I know that, not a lot of people like to play this kind of stuff, and not a lot of people like to watch this kind of stuff. And there was definitely a lot of games that were where I had to slap on a mature content warning, and that is very understandable. And in terms of technical issues that I kind of experienced, like, there were so many that I had during this past month that it just compounded on the stress that I was experiencing. There were videos that didn't have audio, my capture card didn't record like the first part of my gameplay, and so it made it difficult for me to sync the audio, my audio, and what was going on with the game. I think the biggest one that I can think of is Bendy and the Ink Machine. After completing that third chapter, I ran into a game-breaking bug where I couldn't progress further. I had to collect a certain amount of ink cards or whatever, and even though the game acknowledged that I had picked them up, it wouldn't activate the next line of dialogue or a cutscene or anything that's required for me to progress. And since the game autosaves, I basically couldn't use that save. So the solution that I had to resort to was playing that chapter all over again so I could catch up to where I was and record that episode for you guys. And it's insane that even though this is an issue that exists and people know about it, the developers haven't really acknowledged it or fixed it in any way, even though this game has been out for a couple years. Honestly, stuff like that always kind of hampers your experience when you're making videos. In short, I think the biggest takeaway from this Spooktober 2020 event on my channel is that if I were to ever do Spooktober next year, I would most likely have it go on for only 1 or 2 weeks before Halloween, rather than the 4 weeks that I did, so that myself and everyone else involved wouldn't be so burned out, and they would, be able to enjoy, the quality of these episodes rather than the quantity of them. But I do want to mention something positive that I noticed from the Spooktober 2020 experience is that you guys really enjoyed Bendy and the Ink Machine. You guys really enjoyed that narrative series that I did. There was a consistent viewership amongst most of the episodes, except for the finale, because I had to upload that late because I was busy with a photography related favor for my family. If you guys haven't watched that yet, please go check it out. If I had to come to a conclusion as to why I think that series was well received and did so well, it could be because you guys really enjoyed watching me kind of scream and yell like a little girl every time something scary happened. But if I had to guess, I think you guys just really enjoy narrative storytelling. It's one thing to get excited about a multiplayer game and pump your fist when you see a clip-worthy moment, but sometimes that just doesn't really translate to everyone because nobody knows about this game, nobody knows the significance of this awesome moment that you captured. But I think in the same way that a lot of movies and books kind of really appeal to people is because of the storytelling, because of the characters, because there's a lot of stakes and there's a lot of development. It had a story, it had a beginning and an end. It was very concise and it was very well developed. And the biggest takeaway from the overall reception of the series is that I think you guys would want to see more narrative-driven video games being played on this channel, which is something that I very much would like to do. And so that gives me confidence in the future of this channel, because there's definitely games that I would like to play that I don't know if people would be willing to stick around for, but I would definitely would like to play. Because as much as I love playing video games for the kind of competitive nature of it, I also really love video games because they tell stories in a very unique way that other pieces of media can't really tell. And that's the reason why I'm so passionate about video games. But yeah, based on that observation, I wouldn't mind playing more story-driven games on this channel. And I know I wanted to play something like that when the channel started, but I never got around to it. But honestly, that is probably the best thing that came out of this Spooktober 2020 event on this channel. Now, before we go, you guys may have noticed during this video that there was something just peeking over my shoulder, waiting to be revealed to the world. That is right. I have the DualSense controller for the PlayStation 5 right here. I got this delivered to me a couple of days ago when Sony alerted that the accessories for the PlayStation 5 were going to be delivered earlier. Even though the console is supposed to come out in 2 weeks on the 12th of November, decided to ship these early. And I think these are also available to buy in retailers as well, so you guys aren't scrambling for extra controllers and stuff like that on launch. And if you guys take a look at this, it's very much different from Sony's usual line of PlayStation DualShock series of controllers. But the main selling point of the DualSense is the haptic feedback, which will give you a much more responsive vibration depending on what game you're playing, adaptive triggers, which I can't really show you demonstrate that right now because I'm not playing a game, but But basically what that means is you'll feel a little bit of resistance in the triggers depending on what action you're involved in. So the example that they give was when your character is pulling on a bowstring, you can feel the tension of that pull within the triggers. So that's pretty cool. This also has a built-in microphone right here, so you can press this to kind of mute and unmute. And then the other thing is just the design of this controller is much more sleek. It looks very similar to the PlayStation 5 console itself, and I kind of really like it. I love the two-tone design. It makes it feel a lot more futuristic, and I don't know. It screams like next gen in my opinion. So some of the other things that you may have noticed, face buttons aren't really colored anymore to kind of match that two-tone design. The design on the touchpad is much more different than on the PlayStation 4 controller, as you can see. And the bumpers and the triggers on the DualSense are a little bit more bigger than the DualShock 4. The size of the bumpers and the triggers and just the overall design of this controller seems to be much more designed for people with bigger hands, which I kind of have some freakishly big hands, so I think this is really nice. And I guess the easiest comparison to this would also be the Xbox One controller. You know, it has very similar bulky design, but yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm glad that I was able to finally get this in my hands, and it feels really nice to hold, and the buttons feel super cool. Can't wait to actually use this when the PlayStation 5 comes out, and you know, play the assortment of games that are meant to be played on that system. So also cool thing. A little bit before this I was kind of messing with the PlayStation button, because the home screen button on the PS4 is like a circular button, but this is like the logo itself, and apparently when you press on this you can tell that the light bar around the touchpad kind of glows, it flashes. So I think that's a way to kind of like you know, it's trying to sync to the console, but you know, obviously I don't have the console, but I don't know, I thought that was a really cool detail that I kind of discovered. So but anyways, I'm looking forward to when the PlayStation 5 arrives very shortly, and I will definitely showcase the console and then an unboxing video of sorts, and I'm planning on dedicating an entire week to playing the new games on the system. I'm really excited to usher in the next generation of gaming on this channel. So. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this channel vlog and sticking around for this little breakdown / analysis of the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, make sure to ring that notification bell so you are updated whenever more videos go live. Anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time. Janet!